Ellen, waking up each day to the same day, being stuck in a time loop, starts to lose her mind, becoming very frustrated, dumping all of her frustration on a bubbly co-worker called Olivia, whom she kills savagely in different ways each day, until one unique day when everything changes to Ellen's surprise. Hi folks, I'm R, and welcome to Good Job. A game which makes you realize you're not the only one who's stuck in a life which repeats itself every day. It's just that some people decide to have better outlooks on life and be happier. Something that we all can at least try and have. A happier and more content life. Keep in mind that this video will have spoilers, and with that said, let's begin. Waking up a day same to every other day for many months, Ellen explains how she's tired and bored with life when she pulls herself together after a bit, heading to work just to repeat the same day as if she's trapped in a time loop. Arriving at work, being stuck in an office, Ellen is greeted by a seemingly happy and talkative co-worker called Olivia, who expresses how Ellen is her favorite co-worker, someone whom Ellen doesn't seem to like and calls annoying, someone she's sick and tired of hearing and seeing every day. Ellen then goes on to explain that she's not annoyed at her for her enthusiastic and bubbly attitude, or as Ellen refers to it, her dull and boring attitude, but she's annoyed at her because she says exactly the same things every day, something that apparently isn't her fault, as Ellen reveals is due to being stuck in a time loop which Olivia is not aware of. As Olivia gets back to her desk to work diligently, Ellen goes on her superiority complex monologue, judging how Olivia is below her and how boring she truly is. She does, however, mention that Olivia died in one of the previous time loops, slipping and hitting her head very hard against the desk, bleeding slowly to death, which despite Ellen's horrible attitude, seemingly hating the presence of Olivia, she still felt horrified, and when she saw her well and alive on the next loop, she was awfully shaken. Since seeing how Olivia died and how she returned back to life with no repercussions on the next loop, Ellen made it a psychotic habit of hers to kill her in each loop just to entertain her psychopathic self, so maybe she wouldn't be as miserable thinking of ending her own life. As Ellen gets off her desk, being the horrible person she is, she starts looking for supplies or tools in order to murder Olivia in a new, creative way. Ellen, as she mentioned, starts to end the loop by savagely and brutally killing Olivia, slashing her throat with a pair of scissors she picked up from her drawer, staring right into Olivia's eyes, watching her life leave her body. Ellen displays what a true maniac she is, despite all of this being for nothing, as Olivia will be alive the next day. Ellen, despite saying she was in shock, not wanting to see Olivia's corpse when she died by accident, she sure has a wicked and cruel nature, which could show that the only reason she was horrified seeing Olivia dead was because she was afraid of consequences. Ellen continues to wake up the next day after killing Olivia multiple times, repeating the loop over and over again, killing Olivia in different gruesome ways ranging from bludgeoning her, cutting her, burning her, to much more. This could seem like the true definition of hell to many people, on how someone could be trapped with their sinister and evil suppressed desires of killing someone, being provided with this ability, but stuck for eternity doing the same thing over and over again, becoming less of a human after each loop. During one of the loops, when Ellen is mercilessly killing Olivia, she becomes very angry and shouts that the true reason she's killing her is because she's trapped in this loop alone, expressing how she truly feels, how fragile and miserable she truly is behind all the layers of having a stiff and mean attitude. Ellen simply is sad and wants to destroy everything and everyone around her, so maybe she could feel a little bit better about her miserable life, acting like a radioactive waste or a toxin for a lack of better words. After repeating this for months, Ellen starts having strange dreams before waking up to each loop of an entity telling her that she is part of an experiment for completing a project, something that needs to be continued on with Ellen being ordered not to try and end her life, depicting how she did before without much success. After repeating this agonizing routine of letting out her frustration on Olivia, this eventually starts feeling like a boring routine as well, with Ellen becoming sick and tired of doing it. One day, waking up in the same bedroom as any other day, Ellen is greeted yet again by the happy and bubbly Olivia, which makes Ellen lose it and speak aggressively to her. Olivia, surprised and shocked to what might have happened to Ellen to speak like that, approaches her and kindly places her hand on her shoulder, asking if she's okay and if there's anything Olivia can do for her. That's when Ellen becomes even more irritated and repulsed by Olivia's kindness, when in a quick action, having had practiced killing Olivia so many times, Ellen throws Olivia to the ground, sits on top of her and starts strangling her. As Olivia slowly loses her life, Ellen in response loses her own consciousness, which makes her realize something different has happened this time. Ellen, feeling miserable and hating her life, being stuck in a time loop, releasing her frustration on someone who is kind and compassionate towards her, someone who seems to be an easy target to her, she eventually wakes up in the same room, sensing something is different this time. Stepping through her corridor to go to work yet again, she doesn't notice the multiple eyes staring at her, which seem to be monitoring her life and the loop that she's stuck in, as if she is a test subject placed in a cruel and sadistic experiment. As Ellen arrives in the office, she is yet again greeted by a kind and bubbly Olivia, who welcomes Ellen to work, calling her her favorite co-worker. This time, something strange seems to have happened, something that bewilders Ellen. Ellen notices bruising and marks around Olivia's neck, exactly the same place she placed her hands to strangle her. Ellen, in shock, asks Olivia what the marks are on her neck, when Olivia reveals that she, just like Ellen, has been in a time loop, waking the same day, being forced to be in the same office, stuck with a psychotic Ellen who is always unhappy and frustrated, committing acts of violence in hopes of releasing her frustration, which never work. Olivia explains that she remembers everything, every last bit of detail of Ellen killing her and treating her awfully. She explains that she always cleaned up the mess after she was brutally killed, with this time Olivia being unable to get rid of the marks on her neck. Olivia continues that she thought Ellen was the one who didn't remember anything, just going along with her tormented fate of being killed in a different way every day. She explains that Ellen's code got messed up. Maybe that's why she doesn't remember what happened and who they are. Olivia mentions that they are not in fact stuck in a time loop, but that she is a clone of a researcher called Olivia Unster, someone who spent her life trying to achieve a solution to death and obtain immortality. Olivia is an android in her shape who's neither alive or dead, who has limited memories of her, as she died before being able to fully complete Olivia's coding. Olivia continues by mentioning that Ellen was Olivia Unster's lover back before when she was alive. She made Ellen part human, part android, more like a cyborg, in order not to be alone while doing the research. She seemingly did all the research in order to bring Ellen back to life after suffering a tragedy and dying. This causes Ellen to get shivers running down her spine, feeling something she hasn't felt before: fear, shock, embarrassment, remorse, defeat, and many more emotions that she cannot comprehend. After Olivia died, her sister took up the project, who was sloppy at best, causing Ellen's memories to get scrambled, forgetting her past. After reaching a satisfactory conclusion, Olivia Unster's sister left both Olivia's android duplicate and Ellen's cyborg all alone, just to be stuck for eternity. This causes Ellen to have a debilitating sense of remorse and guilt for what she did to Olivia's android for months. She realizes that Olivia was the one who suffered a much greater deal than herself, being a lab rat, but on top of it all, she died in so many different excruciating ways under the hands of a frustrated Ellen. Ellen, trying to atone for her wrongdoings, tells Olivia she would do anything for forgiveness and for what she had done. Olivia, surprised and shocked as it's the first time anyone has ever been nice to her, explains the only thing she truly wants is to spend time with her, to be able to travel the world in memories of the real Olivia Unster. With the true love of her life, Ellen, someone whom she has fond memories of before all of this, memories of having a wonderful life together, together, living every day to those almost faded memories. Ellen, feeling guilty and remorse, agrees to her request and both leave the facilities in order to explore the world that awaits them. Therefore, Olivia only stayed in this miserable office just to stay by the side of Ellen despite being brutally killed by her every day. The strange dreams Ellen had of someone speaking about experiments and projects, instructing her not to try and end her life, was no other than Olivia Unster's sister, who did a sloppy job and left them to rot in the facilities. Due to Ellen's codes being scrambled, she barely remembered and saw them as mere dreams. What's unexplained is why Olivia didn't just tell Ellen about this entire ordeal so they could just leave the facilities, and why Ellen didn't try to leave herself. But according to what Olivia said, she thought that Ellen doesn't remember and wakes up each day trying to repeat a certain routine, and just to stay by her side, Olivia didn't want to risk informing Ellen about what's going on, in fear of messing up her codes even further. As for Olivia, just being accompanied by Ellen was enough and a happy life. Ellen, on the other hand, seems to have tried everything, even turning on the radio and other things, but she carried on waking up in the facilities. Therefore, it's a possibility that it's their software program that prevents them from leaving, and they keep waking up there. Maybe they are wirelessly charged in there, with them leaving the facilities, ultimately returning them to the same place. It's not clear why Unster's sister didn't just decommission them and close down the facilities, but it seems she did so as she thought they would shut down soon enough by themselves. So it's likely that they are in fact bound to the facilities and cannot leave, as Ellen was waking up in a room inside the facilities, not a room in a separate building. So the dream Olivia has of leaving might be unfulfilled, with them simply shutting down at the end. And that's it for the end of this video, folks. If you enjoyed it, you can stay tuned for more by hitting on the subscribe button and the notification bell. If you also have any game requests, you can DM me or tag me on my Twitter. It's been your host Star. It was lovely having you here, folks, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.